This is my R6. Boy, is he in rough shape right now. I'm Hawk. I make props and costumes. This is my buddy. He is my custom-built Mandalorian R6 Astromech. You notice things are a little different. It's intentional. There's a lot to unpack here, so we're going to take him one piece at a time. Let's take a look at him. He's not your standard R6 unit. He's got a bunch of different panels, and they all do interesting things. I designed him to match my Mandalorian. He's got a couple of interesting features, like a real tall collar. The collar's a necessity, because when I printed him the first time, when I printed his bucket, his dome, my printer wasn't calibrated quite properly. It's my older printer, so he's 98%, right? So it's just a little smaller. So I'm putting the same collar I have on my Mandalorian all the way around him to about here. It's going to flare out a bit because I have a flair for the dramatics. His dome has just been glued together and lightly sanded. And that's it. All of those panel pieces are right here. We're not dealing with that today. I gave him the standard Mandalorian style chess pieces because I thought it was funny. We gave him a vent that's reminiscent of the little diamond on most of them. These are the same as the things on my boot flares, the same looking cartridges, so I'm going to paint them a goldish so it looks like he's got a bunch of extra weapons on him. Speaking of extra weapons, I suppose we'll start with the funnier one. His arms have blasters on them. They're not, nothing's been glued yet, by the way. But he's got I got a lot of stringing. We'll get to that in a minute. But got the same kind of blaster, the Harlock Cosmo pistol. It's got the same shape. These front two panels are gonna pop open and have bladed weapons in them. Let's spin them around real quick. These back two panels are going to pop open like that and have one of them's going to have a thermal detonator, and the other one's going to have the little round Mandalorian gravity detonators. And these two big panels are going to just kind of slot open and have two blasters. It's a Mandalorian droid. Of course he's covered in weapons. But we're not dealing with panels today. We might. I don't know how far we're going to get. What we're going to deal with primarily is the chassis. So let me move all of these panels out of the way so we can look just at his shell. There's a couple of problems because I printed things incorrectly, and that's on me, not on him. So the front is almost perfect. Because if you see this one's got a panel in the way, ignore all the stringing, by the way. I've been messing with settings lately. I'm still trying to dial everything properly in. But this panel here is super thin, and it failed on this side. So I'm going to have to print just this little chunk and insert it in. But all of these are bolted together, which is super awesome. There's a split right here, and then a split right here. So everything is offset 45 degrees. The back, I flipped everything upside down, and I must have just adjusted things a little bit, the tabs that hold everything together, because they don't line up right. Not a big deal. They're only there for gluing anyway. Once everything's glued, because I can glue and clamp, it'll be fine, but it would have made things a bit easier. But speaking of gluing and clamping, let me take this top chunk off, and we'll discuss how everything gets connected together. And it's just these back two panels that are off. These little tabs, I must have adjusted them, recentered them, or did something weird with them that I probably shouldn't have. This is all it's just the back two panels that don't quite line up with the main piece. Because the front two panels line up perfectly. These are all just 1/4 20 bolts, by the way. It really is just for gluing. It's a droid, and I wanted metal parts to hold them together. I thought it was funny. The first layer removed, that leaves us with the skirt. This thing's kind of... Oh, the bolt right there. This thing's kind of rock steady with two small flaws. Piece already broke off. There's a piece that goes right here. And it broke off while I was messing with it. So I should have moved the whole thing over this much. So this was all one solid piece on this print. Would have been way better. Didn't think of it. It is what it is. Other than that, everything is fantastic. The skirt is also bolted on. And that's where I made another mistake. And it's a stupid mistake. So the skirt is also bolted together, right? And I have spots here for the body to bolt into. I should have made access holes so I could reach the bolts. It's not the end of the world. The whole thing's going to be glued together anyway, but I kind of wanted, wanted a little better. And this thing, once I tighten it, it's rock solid. When I designed it, I added little recesses so panel can go up and then slot into place. And I'm not sure if I'm using acrylic or metal for that, because I thought a little bit of metal would look really neat. Like the rest of it, the whole thing is just put together with a 1/4 bolts. The skirt was actually the easiest part of the whole thing because it's one piece that's just flipped. And I put 4 holes in, thinking, oh, that's more than enough. But I don't have any way to tighten most of these down, so it's kind of useless. But that does bring us to glue. And for this, I'm going to use the worst glue I've ever used. Well, it's the best glue. It's the most toxic glue, though. This is not glue. It is a solvent. It's a regular, clear PVC cement. It is used for plumbing, and that's where you find it. Big box store plumbing area. But in my my Punisher video, I discovered it works exceptionally well for PLA as well. So that's what we're going to do. One piece at a time. I'm going to lightly sand it. I'm going to put some glue on. Then put the pieces together and tighten the bolts. The reason I'm telling you this now is because I'm about to have a mask on. Because this stuff is highly, highly toxic. The worst glue I've ever used. I know all the plumbers will be like, it's not that bad. It's that bad. This thing is rock solid now. I am super happy with it. It's going to be a lot of sanding. We're going to put this piece together. Or we've already put this piece together. So the next piece is going to be the bottom row here. So I still have to print the little piece that goes right here. And we got to cut out this panel. There's a lot of sanding everywhere. So I'm going to take everything apart and do the same thing we just did with that, but with this, so everything gets glued together. You don't need to watch that. We'll pick it back up once I have a mask on. So most of this happened off camera because apparently I can't aim a camera right either. But all of this was very harrowing. And it was just because I didn't model this correctly. Had everything lined up like these, it'd have been super, super easy. Everything has been glued and it is rock solid. I put in a little filler piece right here. That's where the fail was. This is all glued together, nice and solid. I'm going to start sanding in the skirt. I want to sand the inside. So I'm having an extrusion. I'm having an extrusion problem, but it's just so it's a combination of things. I'm over extruding my support material, but if I don't, it tends to fail. So I have to find that sweet spot. And I had it set to PETG as opposed to PLA, so it's burning a little hot, which caused a lot of stringing. All the loose stuff is stringing. So I'm going to sand everything off, make it nice and smooth, and pick it up in a minute. So the biggest key to this is going to be fitting the panels to the openings, not the openings to the panels. So as long as my edges are nice and sharp, I can make anything else work. I can make the panels smaller, I can adjust them. Some of these may end up being resin print anyway. Glazing putty, spot and glazing putty. I'm going over every crack, and then maybe a light one over most of it. I would normally use acetone at this point, but these seams, some of them are a little noticeable. So I want to even them out a bit. This is probably going to take 2 coats at least for these heavy seams. And this is pushed back a little bit, so I'm just going to even as best I can. There's no real way to make this perfect. Luckily, a Star Wars world doesn't require perfect. The original plan was to have a bunch of these panels pop open and all kinds of weapons and stuff pop out. and it occurs to me, like a lightsaber that lights up and makes all the noise, it's going to be in pictures. You're not going to see things pop open in pictures. Maybe a video or two would have it, but I'm not making this for a television show or a movie. I'm just making it for me. So I'm going to omit a few of those. I was going to have two here that popped open, but since I don't like this seam, that's going to be a static piece. This is going to be a static piece. The two chest plates I was going to have pop open all Guyver-like. But, yeah, I changed my mind on that too. I want those to be static just to hold everything in place. And it'll look better that way. The more moving parts you have, the more chance things can go wrong. Since this is just regular glazing putty, I'm going to give it at least 2 hours. 4 would be better. To a fully cure before I hit it with a light sanding. And then we're going to do a thin coat of glazing putty and acetone. Not bad. Not bad. It's been a couple minutes for you. It's been over a week for me worth of sanding and fiddly bits. It's all about the fiddly bits. This had overnight to fully cure. We're going to go over the whole thing again, probably with 220, light sanding, put another coat of glazing putty and glazing putty and acetone down, and then just let it go for an hour or so. You want to give it about 2 to 4 hours for it to fully cure. But when you're thinning it down with acetone, you can usually cut that time down in like a tenth. It's fantastic. That's why I use it. So I'm just going to lightly sand the whole thing. I didn't use a mask when I sanded the first time because they're large particulates and I'm not terribly worried about the PLA, doing fine particles. This stuff, I'm probably just going to put my respirator on and just leave it on. That way I can just jump straight into the glazing putty afterwards. it has had plenty of time to cure. I'm going to hand sand everything, and then we're gluing the skirt onto the base. And it's got a bunch of screws to hold everything in place. But the holes are undersized on the base, so it should cut its own threads in, which doesn't really matter because the threads aren't going to hold it in place. It's the glue that we're putting down that's going to hold everything in place. So hand sand, then glue, and then we're ready for priming. So I have it hanging my garage door from 2 wires that go through the bolts up here. I'm just using a simple sandable automotive primer. Yeah, and spray it, let it dry. So this is where we're at. First coat of primers on. I'm going to go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. Make sure we're ready to move on to the next step. The next step is going to be, of course, lightly sanding and then priming again. And then probably sanding and priming again. You don't need to see that. That's just what we just did 2 more times. That's crazy talk. But he's getting there, right? Everything's starting to stand out a little more now. But these panels, compared to this chassis, these are pretty shabby looking panels. I think we may have to do something about that. Next video, we address the panels. But he turned out well. I'm happy with him. I keep saying him. I'm assuming he's a him. I don't know why. We'll find out when it's done. Still a lot to go on this droid. And I really hope by the time we're done with him, you're still around. Easy way to guarantee that'll happen. Maybe think about liking and subscribing. I got stuff popping up on screen right about now. Because I've got a lot of other videos you may want to look into. If you haven't already. Maybe leave a comment. What do you think of it? What do you think of the overall design? I really like the uniqueness of it. Thanks for making it to the end. I'll see you next time.